Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I am your host, Tiffany Daniels, and yes, we are going back to that horrible world known as the JRC. But first, real brief disclaimer. If you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, all pertinent links should be found right there in the description box for you. Please, in particular, take note of the article linked up in there written by Neuroclastic. They are a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics. They did survey over 800 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program and managed to trigger the school so much they threatened Neuroclastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. So folks, you know the drill. Please read that article, share it in all your social media, and if you ever want to do any more deep diving, in particular in regards to the JRC, Autistic Hoya's link is set up in each and every single video on the JRC. She has created what is known as the JRC Living Archive, where our receipts have receipts. So, you are definitely got more than enough information to do a deep dive on, alright? Also, trigger warning. This channel is marked not for kids for a reason. I use profanity. I use a lot of profanity. And when we talk about places like the JRC or Agape, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips or surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. So if you got young ones that are 16 and younger and they are watching, parental supervision, very much advised. Alright folks, we are on video 40. Remember, I wanted to take it to 100 and then we'll dive back in more into the subject. I just wanted to give everyone a baseline in regards to where the support is with us or with the JRC. So, let's go ahead and jump right back into it, shall we? Alright, so this one here says, please ban this harmful practice. Using pain to obtain compliance from disabled people is cruel and unjustifiable. Thank you. The argument the JRC uses to continue with things the way that they do is no different from the arguments of yore when it came to things such as capital punishment. In fact, it was the same logic that most public schools operated under until God. I don't even know when they finally stopped with the paddling nonsense. But yeah, they used to have paddles inside principal offices. Like, I was at the very tail end. Like, that was going out just as I was getting into kindergarten back in the day. So we're talking quite some time ago. But that was the justification that they would use. Kids got spanked at home, they got paddled at school in order to obtain compliance, respect, and obedience. Funny how it has provided literally none of that. Literally none of that. If you don't believe me, step inside my time machine and go back to a 90s parking lot at a high school sometime. Okay? Fact of the matter is, what we did is we still continued to do the things that we got punished for. We just hit it better. So in actuality, it did not produce the results that they were wanting. So our justification is, okay, but we're still going to use it on disabled people because somehow it's going to end differently? These are not serious people, folks. They want us to believe them because they have letters behind their names and they're the so-called experts. But I'm looking at them and honestly, I don't feel safe having them left alone in a room with a plastic bowl. They may have book knowledge, but when it comes to just being a decent human being, these are some of the most ignorant people I have ever come across. And I live in Missouri, people. If I am telling you that, especially being about 20 minutes outside the closest rural area, think about life choices. You know? Seriously contemplate your life choices. Just saying is all. Alright, now I know we've gone through some of these, but it's been a minute since we've done one of these videos. So we're going to go over a couple more of them and then scroll on down a little bit. Of course, we got the ASAN template that we're all familiar with. In fact, we'll go ahead and start going on down now. Here we are. There we are. Shelby, Christine, Perez. Alright, here we go. This one says, please pass the ban as described. Also consider banning other physical aversives such as starvation, punching, slapping, spraying with vinegar, isolation, prolonged restraint for similar purposes. For the love of God, go off. Throw in some isolation rooms. Not just isolation rooms. Because they will find excuses, call it something else, and use it for the exact same purpose. Believe me, I know. They used to do that shit in the 90s. All are still in use in the U.S. and constitute unwarranted force not justified by evidence-based medical research. Even your evidence-based medical research, you all are not willing to listen to the individuals who have been subjected to that treatment and have told you multiple times what's wrong with it. But that will be a different task someday, and you want to talk about a series that will get me all the vitriol from the medical model on planet Earth? ABA is gonna be a big one. Whatever. It's a day that ends in Y. If I'm not pissing somebody off, I'm not happy. This is what you get when you hang out with your smart aleck brother for way too long back in the day. Alright, we actually read this one during the last episode, so we're going to go ahead and do the first one off the next page and go ahead and close out for this short video here. Alright folks, to page 9, we're getting through it. Alright, let's take a look at this. Alright, this one says the template from ASAN, obviously. Alright, that is La Win. I support a ban, and it's the template again. I'm sorry, folks, I do not have an edit button. And I'm way too stubborn to try and learn it now. I can see where ASAN started really coming in there. In fact, I recognize some of these names from some of the branches. Alright, we're going to look at one more. There we go. Okay. I would like to write in support of the proposal to ban these devices. I am a board-certified behavior analyst practicing with a population that engages in self-injurious and aggressive behavior, and the information available to use overwhelmingly supports a ban of these devices as inhumane, unnecessary, and its use is not in line with the ethical and compliance codes of our regulatory body and our state licensures. Yes, seriously, we need to get that freaking consent decree removed, because the fact that literally anybody else would be special level fired, like ninth circle of Dante's hell fired, but JRC keeps holding the Massachusetts courts over a barrel with that 1987 consent decree to the point where their version of DMH or Department of Mental Health have to continue to issue those licenses each year or they'll get dragged back into court over that goddamn consent decree is insane. Nobody should be able to hold literally an entirety of a state government hostage the way that the JRC has done to the Massachusetts state courts. It is insane what they've been allowed to get away with. Not just on the level of how horrific and absolutely terrifying their place of business is, but just on general principle. We have many other ways of supporting individuals that engage in this type of dangerous behavior without resorting to causing them pain and all of the unpleasant side effects that come along with punishment that is unlikely to be effective in the long term and does not reach a repertoire of other skills that increase the quality of life of these individuals. It's still punishment if you are consequencing them for their behaviors. It doesn't matter whether the consequence is a physical one or whether the consequence is you don't get to have your toy that you bought with your own allowance money until you act neurotypical enough to my pleasure for you to be able to have it again. It's every bit as much as an aversive as the GED device is. Granted, there is levels to this shit, to be sure, but to try and say that you don't have to punish them when literally a punishment model is built inside ABA itself, and you can't get away from that fact just because now they're willing to use the PC language throughout the entirety of the ABA handbook, it doesn't change it. Punishment is a punishment. Whether it's physical, psychological mindfuckery, it is still a punishment. It's still an aversive. Okay? I get really tired of the holier than thou. Yes, the JRC is bar none some horrifically evil human beings. But the system they came up with did not come out of the ether. Okay? Anyways, let me go ahead and continue here. The general public, recipients of ABA, and overwhelming majority of practitioners helping this type of population does not support the use of these devices. Quite frankly, you should not support aversives, period, whether they are physical or not. But that's another conversation that nobody wants to have yet. We can and should prevent their use and use the compassionate and humane behavior change methods that have been already demonstrated as effective with this behavior. Masking is not effective. Masking is hiding so that you'll leave us alone. Again, another conversation the medical model continues to not be ready for. But anyways, folks, that being said, I still do like to get their opinions in there. But even the well-intentioned ABA, I really feel like they look at their profession with rose-colored glasses. Like, when you believe deep in your heart that you're helping people, you're serving your purpose, and somebody who actually has this diagnosis tells you the type of psychological difficulties growing up at ABA has caused you, and you attack us because, no, I'm obviously helping. Yeah, stop that. Realize that our treatment is not about you. It's about us. So if we are telling you, an adult autistic is telling you what was wrong going through ABA as a kid, put your pride aside and listen. That would be my challenge and homework. for ABA practitioners. We're going to go ahead and close out on that one for right now, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few we do tend to get removed from time to time. So if you guys would be so kind, please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit the comments. And also, folks, double check, make sure that you are still set up for notifications. We're going to be continuing with the Down the Rabbit Hole series. We're going to be beginning our new Snake Oil Salesman series. And, of course, we're going to be continuing with wrapping up the Advanced Directive series as well. And I don't want you to miss anything. I appreciate your time, and as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea absolutely do hope you have a good one. I'll see you all in a little bit. Bye, everyone.